Okay.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me better there?
Say it again.
Hola, hola. Can you hear me better?
Better now?
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Hello, hello everyone.
I'm gonna start already, maybe.
이렇게 전부 들어보다. 주차고 다가는 only.
Tangaya chutsawachi kuchi.
어떠지나?
Pedro?
Yes, thank you. So,
I was too lazy to get up.
Pedro, are you the host of the Zoom meeting?
yes.
Can you make me co-host so I can record the Zoom and
Okay. Okay, wait. Make host. I think now you're the only host, maybe.
now I am. Okay, so now we can do this.
But it's already recording the.
Oh, okay. I thought I was told to record the meeting, but if it's already recording, then it's fine. But it'll be, is it on the cloud or on your computer?
It's on the computer.
Okay.
Local storage.
So you'll pass the video afterwards to them?
Yes, they put on. I can pass it to them, yeah, and they
Okay.
put on YouTube. Maybe
Are we
this
having
time
the
we.
automatic YouTube thingy or not?
I think maybe this time. What if we don't do the live stream? If now we just record and then we upload on YouTube later.
Then you have to teach me how.
To upload it.
Yes.
I can this one I can upload because it's my
No,
computer.
I just need to learn how to do it when we
Okay,
do
okay,
it like
we
this.
do it together. Okay. Sorry, everyone.
I was expecting on the sheet of form that they got lost, so I think this person wanted to go somewhere.
Yeah.
You name them.
This is a completely new.
You count the name, then
So
what?
last year
Really?
it was different programs.
You count the name, then Padush.
I can do all of them.
Oh, the name only to
Not
the
all,
Dush.
that's not always possible, but
Oh,
attendance, like let's say, depending on the family. But there's also classes on YouTube, but.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
maybe in a couple of years. It's open cloud, but if external people don't show up, the class keeps on going. It's just.
Oh,
I
think
guess
it's a-
now there
the
was
minute.
always people, so.
But there's always, no, it's not, maybe it's a program for you or for students and we are able to join.
No,
It's-
it's supposed to be for everyone.
Okay, yeah, no.
But because it's relatively new and it's a bit hidden, a lot of people don't even know about it.
Yeah.
And there's so many programs here that people get lost in.
Yeah. We saw.
Lasso gisela. Kutsu shana kanedu.
Ah,
And
no,
then
no, so.
he was firing yesterday. And he took them all.
Is it okay? Is it okay if we begin or should we wait for something?
We can begin, I think. Yes.
Okay.
And last.
Lasso. Gisela Gotsuyenbe?
Picture of us.
Oh, drink the that not
Lasso.
to shut it off.
Yes, it's okay.
Okay.
Ah,
It's a leader. Okay. Then Tangatu Tandakudu Michel Madame, Tatol mixing Mudura, a cheese.
Ado la minido.
Ale, losa. Or really, Tatanga di good one, the mixing Jamba Moachera. Anan Nini Tambo Takare, what to do Che Gore Gomare, Chenaya Wujira.
계란 ranking order torduchik sumbaina pechiagore. Mikashigi kerang moshingi samara.
Losa. Tinita Natural Palapchana Captain Tigore, Kaisanga, any Paita Kesata to Tamani, Matundi Shidi Topag, Tama, Paichi Pachanja Tango, any Kesha Jitang, Chiton Guja Dinjula Kene, any Tini Luchu, but Robaram de Amatologion Mevache. Tini Jami Loptan and Lucinga Chindro. Ani Chiton Guja Jach Cabdin Lo Jagar Leon Bayen. Ani Jagar Leoni, any Jagar Pugin Drepon Locho, Dreponla, Ani tini lobjong cheni muntuni ani tanda nitong gubado Geshe nitong gubado lo kazuri do tipori dila pagi lobjong cheni tini geshe sha geshe larambagi tamcha sha da tsamaji oche ba yinsi andinda uchi tini jibado na
So, well, welcome everyone, online Zoomies and real people over there in Semgishide Association. First of all, Geshe-la is going to introduce himself. So I will speak in first person and I'll speak as Geshe-la. So I'm going to introduce myself. I was born in Chango, which is a small village, a small city in Tibet. We're all from the same, most of the Geshes here in Semgishide Association come from the same place in Tibet. I was born in 1970, and for the first 10 years, I lived as a nomad in Tibet, which means I didn't get to go to school or to study. But after that, finally, for about 4 to 5 years, I studied in a Chinese school. And in 1987, I finally exiled to India. I went to India in exile, went directly to the monastic institution of Jebung, and there I studied until 2009, and I graduated from Geshe Haramba.
lo tini gishi pake dreponi gishi thani gyumela nga lobjong che to lochik te chene dile nga ka di ta lakchen ro da thangma chi lochik na le ta cha thang jin ro yins
And after the completion of the Geshe Haramba degree, I went to the tantric institution, a monastic institution of Gyume, and I studied there for 1 year. And after that, I got my diploma, having graduated from Gyume.
ola so tini nga ti lo juma tini ni to chuni lo nga longo le ya ani da dharamsala kiti gomba na ani piti ge le chene ani ta ta da bado tele chi pecha tini o tel de yos tanda ya te den taran muntuni de yos
And after graduating from Gyume Tantric Monastic Institution in 2012, I came to here in Dharamsala to Kirti Gompa, to the monastery of Kirti, and there I taught different classes until today.
ola so o ta ngarang ngotu ta do di sana tini chi yin ta kana yin tini ta nga chu di lopchu ta tini ta na go tu ya de ma chu sem ji shi de choba ga di na ni ta karan di ga len tu yo ta di sem ji shi de ga ani choba de su ya ga di chu ta ani di choba ngotu ji anen kyorong ga cha ta ha go ra tini ma chi dur di chi lab sha ra chena di ma to yang nge le la yang kyor na di chu ka de yang chi ni ji ma ma chi a pe to ko shin go re
So Geshe la tampo ngarangi ngodu turdu chik now I'm going to speak as myself, as Anna, the translator, so you guys get to know me a little bit as well. My name is Anna. I'm from Spain, so forgive my English if sometimes I get things wrong. I studied in London University and history, a history degree, and after that, oh, hello there. Nice to meet you. And after going to Mexico and doing some things, I met a teacher and he told me to study Tibetan in Dharamsala. So I said, okay, let's do that. And I went to Dharamsala. I studied in the Lotsawa program down in Ganki, close to the Tibetan library. And that's where I met Geshe Gyaltsen, who I perceive and I take as my teacher. So there I studied with him for 2 years, philosophy classes, as well as we did some private classes. And after graduating from the Lotsawa program, I've been translating in Barcelona, where I'm actually now currently living for the past 6 years. So now I translate for a center called Nagarjuna Barcelona. And that's what I do for a living, as well as also I do introduction to Buddhism classes and courses and things like that. And Geshe Gilson asked me if I could translate this class, and I am gladly doing it. But I'm not accustomed to translating into English. I normally translate into Spanish, so I just have to get accustomed. I'm also a little bit nervous, but slowly, I'll get into like the gist of the whole thing. And now, before we continue, I'm just going to introduce, although you probably already know about the Peace of Mind Association, Semgishide Tova, which was started by Geshe Laramba Gyeltsen and Geshe Laramba Sonam in 2022. And their main objectives are to promote mental peace and ethical conduct independent of religious faith, whether you're a Buddhist or not, or take on any other religion, and also to offer the methods and the tools within Buddhism, the psychological tools and the philosophical tools, in order to develop a more peaceful and happy, relaxed mind. And these aims are done so by offering Dharma classes and also Tibetan language classes, and mainly by helping Geshe Larampas, graduated Geshe Larampas, to learn other languages like English, so they don't have to go through a translator like me, and they can communicate directly with you, and they can be of more benefit to others, especially Western students, or well, not Western students, also Asian students, but mainly non-Tibetan speaking students. And that said, all of these classes are free, but if you want to support the association with some donations, they're all welcome, whether you're watching this online or you're watching this in site. So I think that's all for an introduction. Lasso Geshe-la.
Lasso. Tini ada de kutsu leading better Jago de kutsu di the leading also to check depth the inji country any Kishan Jella and the Gona and teach the inji country Puikan the Karikuyana or the teacher Chelas.
So we're going to be doing classes from a book called Opening the Eye of New Awareness by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. You can get the Tibetan version from Geshe Sonam or Geshe Gilson. The English version, I'm not sure if you can get from them. I'm not sure if you have it. Do you have the book?
Yes, it's here.
Okay, excellent. So you've got the book. That's perfect. Otherwise, you can get a Kindle edition, which is the one I got. We'll just have to make sure that my edition and your edition is the same. Otherwise, I'll be reading from something that doesn't quite go with your text, but we can check that tomorrow. That's okay for today.
Oh, Tirisha, Tini Tangato di Goni Madrona Chitang subject Mambujudo, subject Mambu, the Bonam Chatan Romogoche, Chitang subject to see do the Tama Romogoche, Tanda the subject Tambo de Kichani and Chuche Gubi Jum Sense, Yaga, or the Consa Chocoma subject in a Chuche Gubi Jum Sense, or Tirisha.
Today we're going to begin in the first chapter, which is the needful religious practice. We might not go through all of the chapters, so we'll go through the most important parts. But today we're going to start at the needful religious practice.
Oh, Tirisha, Tati Dada Chitang Ani depth the number of the condensama that think you got some now mancha go to chuju choprajuba the tiungo teach du telatanda dinal consa choco cheer up the number of jeep and jeep in 30 be shila chancellor any or the sherabla 30 be sherab ataikidan chata to be she 30 be she's an amuduta counter or the mixer with chance any or the cheshas.
Normally, when His Holiness composes a text, before he starts, he pays homage to wisdom, and that's exactly what he's done here by saying at the beginning, homage to the final exalted wisdom that thoroughly differentiates or discerns, I like better the word discerns, phenomena. And here, when he says the final exalted wisdom, he's basically paying homage to wisdom itself, and we have different kinds of wisdom, like the wisdom that arises from listening, the wisdom that arises from reflection, etc. So in essence, he's paying homage to wisdom.
Tele Yamse Guba Chimbo Yosare 김생 강인세나 아니 지다 추체 마체라 마투베 아니 지금 대원도 바다 둥거만도 바 김송 임바 직바 인디 대원집이 둥거 영화에 建筑 가리 지금 도시디 마서 가리이나 답을 마시비 왕가 마시비 왕가 용거 여장 디가 아니 시름 타투 받을라 아니 담부 차트니 뚜길라 깨워 쇼데 아니 디길라 깨워이나 가리이나 아니 추다 추마이 바다 제고야다 먹고야 참마가 남차 탄체 아니 세우지니 체투 여장 아니 딘디가니 아니 저전 되게 요사레스 초치니 다고바다 망보레데.
And it's actually very meaningful, the fact that he pays homage to wisdom at the beginning of this text and any text that he composes, because whether we are religious practitioners or whether we're not religious practitioners, the fact is that we all wish to be happy and none of us wish to suffer. And the main reason why we suffer is that we don't know the method, we don't understand the method, the causes that provoke such suffering. So it means that if we are able to develop this wisdom, then we will clearly be able to differentiate or to discern what to do and what not to do in order to be happy and in order not to suffer. So that's why it's very meaningful and relevant, the fact that His Holiness here is paying homage to wisdom.
딘디 인자 딘디라 카스바방 추주데 딘디 지가 초버초바치 딘디 다텔라 딘디 마송 쳬바이나 안더 다자게 톰바 남디 시비 템바 아니 angabjaba cha chu chude ta angabjaba cha chu sena te anhagu do angabjaba cha chu tondanga tonga tiga aligu ligu chine ma chine ani tina ga chudum giligu sia kaptere si kapte sha
Suki chudum gileo gishila
chudum nani chudum giligu ta ani dio laba sum giligu la so pelu chuera odina ga chudum giligu
laso. Give me 1 second. Lesson. Oh, I missed a page. Okay, I'm back. So if we continue reading, it says, at this time, and now you can let me know if it coincides with your book. My book says, at this time of the 20th century, an era of chemicals and weaponry, during the phase of ethics among the 10 periods of 500 years, in the teaching of the fourth leader, the teacher Shakyamuni Buddha, does it coincide with your text?
No.
No? Okay, so what we'll do is that if you don't mind, I'll read it from this text because I have no other today, and I'll try to get your version for tomorrow. But it says that we're living in a phase, the phase of ethics among the 10 periods of the 500 years, and this makes reference to a sutra where Buddha Shakyamuni divided into 10 chapters, and one of them is about ethics, and it refers to the time that we're living now.
Oda chudum giligu seta kidang at tanda daja tomba nangchu gudi korang chongtang di wand chena tel ming tindi chena tag yore ta kandar kap tes ne kadri tanda tirab nishuba ani jinsun gi kap kalbi gi tin derse ani chinang ge ngupu gi chinang ge ngupu yi ringni begi chongwa tang ani chong jirishin songsha ani na sempin pegi kyang 해주든 주고 버신도 아니 고거 체신 송샤 다 가리스는 디람 20이 다 마시 안에 그 드시도 하고 되나요 단다 디람 20에 내값 수감 딜라 가르레스디 아니 든춘당 춘샤다 든춘샤다 딘디가 아니 치 제 공부를 야기 시부진 조던 조신비에 내값 딘디가 그 아니 갑레샤지 디값딜라 치 공부 야기 같은 저기 저게 아니 다 링니 남게 아니 남게 링니가 아니 다 신데 야기 저거한테 하장 그 개침보레에서 왔다 뒤송샤.
So when here it says that we here at the 21st century, well, it says the 20th century, an era of chemicals and weaponry, it says that during this time, during the 20th century, the technological advances have been huge, and also the development of weapons and the development of the external material world. However, just as we develop the external material world, it's as important or even more important to develop the inner world. And that's why it says, at the same time, there is a vital need for similar development and expansion of inner awareness and attitude.
Tini je songsha. Tila, tungko hachen chenpo yin zang. Tini, tila da nangdwe rikpa. Namba sangi bi, sangi ji chutsur, karchi kore samba tang, gomba tang. Ta, tuwi tuen, yani yang samba. Samni tesik tuen yila, chongya di yani yang gombi. Te tsurshin da driba. Di tsuri shi gubi, se tendi che shi gugudu, se ta, di che at peke chimbora cha di shi gugudu, shi gobe. Teni sab ching ling ba se te sab hajan ting sabo da, ling ba se di pa ya chimbo da, dindi ki zhong chimbo tala tawar, makum bi kiwo ta kiis. Ta tindi ki titsu, nga tsu nangbi zhong chimbo poti nga la sopa tang, tindi ki samkab rikpa jangche ka, ta tenchu da zhong mangbo yore, to sol titsu mangbo tani jango na, tindi ki jangya ki titsu mepa tang, ya chikoka maraya ki tindi ki titsu la, ta karisene ta ki sonam ji kokab do sene, koro solo sonam ka kokab tsur du chini, ta karisena, tab devo chi chini, shiya ka, sonam ji kokab tu karichi ki sana churab ta nambar ji bi sherab ji nawa, churam ji nam ji ki sherab ji nawa ya giya ka, gibi tenchu karichi ni sing nyung ko devo, ko de suru cheba, losar mingi chawan de shabar chawo, sita shiya te shigi, zate tu te konsa chokata ma tsumbar tam chawa de, nge tsumya ki tenchu dini chik tsumgu yo gubati che de yin soya de wo chik, tindi chere sha.
In the following paragraph, it says, in the Buddhist way, in the Buddhist path, internal culture, so looking within, is achieved through thought and meditation. Actually, thought means here reflection, investigating, thinking about, and meditation meaning we have to habituate our minds with that we've reflected, that we've thought about. But before that comes listening. So the inner cultivating the mind within. First, we must listen to teachings, we must study teachings, then we must reflect, we must investigate, and then we have to familiarize, habituate our minds with that we have found. So, and for that, it says it's necessary to know how to think and how to meditate. Therefore, we must learn through listening how to think about reality and how to familiarize or habituate our mind with that. Therefore, in accordance with the merit of those beings who do not have the leisure to study great texts, therefore, since most of us don't have the time to study the big treatises, like for example, the 5 great treatises, profound and full of impact, His Holiness says, I write this opening the eye of new awareness, a treatise of few words, primarily for easy comprehension, to expand the illumination of the wisdom that thoroughly differentiates phenomena. Therefore, here, in essence, His Holiness is stating his commitment to compose this text for those who have merit, who have a lot of merit to develop this wisdom to discern phenomena, thoroughly discern phenomena, but who do not have the time to study the big treatises.
La so no tindi chere te la si tindi ki tonda ti shepala kari kandi du seon di roa thamches ta kendro thamche ani mitama ma yimbi kendro mambu chi roa thamche ani dewan doba dewan doba ta dungar mando ba nyamshi ti kadmi no ko sa chok jindeng ko de ya ti te uye ne tula ani tere de ya roa thamche ani dewan dopa ta dungar mo dopa nyam chipa re nyam shi da nyam bares did you go to matis rana digido
Ndire ale peche konsola tuntun songna geshela konsola pendo chea ngala da keba mendo ine konsola pendo chea du chengdu. So then His Holiness continues saying, all beings, meaning all beings, human beings, as well as other beings like animals, etc., are equal in that they want happiness and they do not want suffering. And this is something that His Holiness states very often.
대양세 아니 라디 시리 트라비 멋자 마세스 다 라디 가서 릭직바 미세디 가서 낭비 쇼나리 치바이나 마시 땡코와 틴데 송거라와 틴디 대참직 마세 또 저거다 대원도 받다 등을 못도 봐 소소고 줍탐 잠으라가니 지금 여봐 마세 가르치는 도체는 르이자 뜨무바 타나 또차 무슨 참모연체장 대원도 봐 식당 아니 등을 참모연문도 봐 샤다가 인 송샤
And he says this does not apply merely to us humans of higher intelligence, meaning that are not only human beings, which normally in Buddhist philosophical text, debate text, are defined as those who are able to communicate and understand meanings. That's the definition of a human being. Those who are able to communicate and understand meaning. Not only human beings defined in this way wish to be happy and don't wish to suffer, but even it's not very nicely translated in this text. Even dumb and obscure creatures, meaning those who don't understand meaning and are not able to communicate like human beings, from the tiniest insect on up, only want happiness and do not want even a little or subtle suffering.
so tindi sonza tena de jimten tindi yenta rashi sui yang se raina da shen sui yang dewan chungwa dans 아니 등을 먼저 위 탑식 자구스 자구야 자와데 어디니 제송도
Therefore, everyone, ourselves and others, must find a method to cause happiness to arise and to keep suffering from arising.
딘디 대원 종이 탑다 등을 먼저 위 탑데 제고나 데 만나세 데 만나 아니 랑라 대와신 종나스 냠바타 셈레 딘디 템바타 냠바타 등을때 메나 치마론 등을때 메나 냠비 아니 레와 렌도 수수 도바키니 렌도 침부 딘디 레와 침부디 구니 데바 참기 대와 종와타 등을 세 미니피스 어디 대참지가 아니 등을 대와 종야 당 등을 세 두고 문두 세다 론 도바데 지당 고리 데 고나야 로 대참지게 아니 등을 세 로야다 대와 두고 문두
So here it states that we must find a method to find happiness and a method to dispel suffering, since that is what all sentient beings wish for. However, without such a method, the text continues, it is impossible for happiness to arise and for suffering to be eliminated. And it's impossible to do so merely by waiting with the great hope or with the wishing, oh, how nice it would be if I could just be happy, and how nice it would be if I could just suffer. Just by wishing it, just by praying, just by saying it, it's not going to happen. Therefore, it says we must find the causes from which happiness arises and abandon the bases or the causes that make suffering arise.
디디레샤 마토타 아니 대와 종나 다 등을 마종나 삼야가 렌도 짬트 심제 탐제리 요바타기 티코니 송바타가라레 데이나 테잠지 두고 무두스 메장 타 카르체 고군두라나 대와데 강린 종위 주드 두고 바타 주두바타 등을 종이 셰트 시카리나 등을 종야게 등을 수솔라 모드비 등하티 시카리니 종고 용티 용사테 파빵니 빵니바지 데니치 체투바 있나 아니 수수근 도반 타투바는 도바디 엔드투구레스
So just like the text says, we all sentient beings wish to be happy and do not wish to suffer, and we're all equal in that sense. However, just by merely wishing it, just because we wish it, because of that fact, it doesn't mean that we are happy as we wish and that we do not suffer as we wish. So therefore, it says it's very important that we identify the causes that produce happiness and identify the basis of suffering, the foundation of suffering, so that we can cultivate the causes for happiness and we can eliminate or destroy the foundation of suffering.
따티 인자 아니 따 대와디 따기 담보소나 시게 대와데 유강리 종 유드 죽고요 장 디 주줍체 데라 주줍티 간디스 줍 고군두라나 주줍체 다 오노파 등어도 파 뽕위 탑니 탑데 가레레레스나 디날 아니 konta chokona ko somba chen tanda di sia chen somba chen chula ten ni druba tang dhawa thaptar chen chitar che kyang yang tak padam thar chimba druminis ote sonsha.
So therefore, if we have to find the causes for happiness in order to cultivate happiness, His Holiness says the means for establishing the causes of benefit and happiness and for abandoning harm and suffering cannot be gained by any other way as fully and completely as through religious practice.
Ote druminis sonsha. Ta chuji ting ne ta chu druba sha chen ti ting ne chen de dang jewa chima 아니 디양 치마소 아니 듭시 세럽 망부 되와 아니 게톱 진스 아니 둥어 세뉴 소샤 이거잖아.
Through religious practice, we were able to bring about happiness and alleviate suffering in this and many future lifetimes. This life, the next life, the life after that, and so forth.
어디 등을 본 뉴스죠. 다 천들람 천나 다 딘지 다 치마 망보지 바사니 아니 삼탄투나데 야보레 모니 체나 고그레 신디게 되와 치고 삼탄나 tundu 저레 딘지게 슈지 팬토고 모니 삼로 딘니 치마다 추케 랭게지가 완데 제바이나 하장게 tundu 저레 첸디시디 tundu 저레 디게 되와지 좀나 양기 로십증압주 로자 Tini jade halina jada kashi digo tini chiki zondo gure tini jini yo mari meba chandu gure ya di tsen di chima ke maleni tsen di chubu mato kyo chima ke maleni tawara tsen dila dikin choni dingi ji yina ani tsen di ani dewa dhuktuk che gugundu.
However, from the point of view of a religious practitioner, or a Dharma practitioner in this case, to focus merely on the happiness of this life is something very short term, because this life, to the most, I mean, how we will live perhaps 50 years to the most, 50 more years, or up to 100 years, up to the most, and that's a very short period of time. So just to focus on that happiness exclusively, it's very short-sighted. However, if someone is not religious and does not believe, does not accept the existence of future lives, then it's okay to focus just on the happiness of this life, and that's okay.
Dati yina yang ani ali nga tso mambu chiga ani tsin digi dewate ke chenpo tsini rupta mambu chi chiga yodi ta tsin dilam tsona dewa keba tang dungar pongwa la chuli lakpa mepa nis lakpa me sonsha ta mepa di metang yak songwedu.
And in order to achieve that, His Holiness says that there is no better method, there is no method that can surpass those offered by religious practice or spiritual practice.
Mepa ne kare de pe na ase ta tine pe sha ne kumdeng ma songa ji de yormu chi songa ji na pe sha tu lula nasa ji chongna yang si ta lula nasa ji go na la so ba de sem gu da ji lula nasa dram da jong ya do tini ji chongna yang si ti le yong na yang pe ja ni songna si chu ji ne to to ba tang chu xin ge da chu ne to to ba ta ma to ba ni la ani lusim ji dungar che chung dang se te sir nu men ji chabar shin de che te ta che ge chabar chimbo yo song sha.
So in the text it says, even in the case of this lifetime, nothing surpasses religious practice for bringing about happiness and abandoning suffering. For example, in cases of physical illness, there is a very great difference between those who have and those who have not understood the essential meaning of religion in terms of the degree of their mental and physical suffering and their ability to alleviate that suffering. Therefore, here His Holiness states that there is a big difference when we're going through illness, when we're ill, and how we deal with that illness if we have a spiritual path and if we or we don't have a spiritual path.
Oh, Dereshat, Kaisana, Pena Chicken and Matobatan, and Chuji Chilaji, see, this is dark Chilam to see Kaya maybe Mate, maybe me tela karchina lugi na neki choa chapu tanto semla ani natti musubi dungar chimboji ke nune lisem nika ani devi kokka mepar dungar gim narware sonre da kati pache anangar ti kogdo ti karsina ani chuji chugo neto matoba ani chugo chig chelamro diti kaya mengi michi na mi luga na sa yo ba da sin lule ko pena la pa ru cha kamba ru cha pa ina di na sa kati na me de chu she ma shi ni ka le yo re te yo na yang 아니 단데 추고네 또 마통게 도서라 아니 디 강레 나로 셈 강레 둥어 토바지 둥어 따기 디 맞세베 둥어 쳔보지 그 어느 년이 가르치기나 루당 셈 니까라 아니 둥어 쳔보 용거레스
It continues saying, a person who has not understood the essentials of religious or spiritual practice and who does not have any of the ambrosia, meaning the nectar, of the magnificent impact of such practice, has, in addition to strong feelings of physical sickness, the great suffering of not being able mentally to bear that illness. He or she is troubled by both physical and mental suffering with no opportunity for happiness. So this is an example that might be clear or easy to understand for all of us. We all have suffered illness, physical illness, and have gone through pain. For example, if we break an arm or we break a leg, the physical pain is common to all of us. We all, if we are alive, we must experience that sort of pain or the pain of any type of sickness. So that is common to all of us. But those who have not trained their minds in a spiritual path through religious, in this case, religious practice, it says, then not only have to bear the physical pain, which is common to all of us, but the mental pain of not being able to deal with their minds while they're going through that pain.
tindijire shaasita chuchenen to matobade tindiji dunga thobaji ke dute yinayang ta ti nani chuchenen to tokpashi yinas 아니 카르두스나 룰라 나사 총와 테 카르레시디 호막 레기 레 ngasoso le dupas duputine le lesa sha dupin tribu yimbata 안 코비 랑신 계단 코아싱 ngaso nesa 코아 코로 랑신 아니 둥얼 그랑신이다 땐 통니 아니 류 다크 찬드기 삼바 소라 테네 카르치그리스나 둥얼 당랑치 투그레 둥얼 데타 테 용거리 다틴디 용시거리 텐디 용거리스네 semba counter no dunga tangla chi tu lambi ani iki dunga mumjo de tagi ti na sa ti kan la yang nga shibu ji ti na gi sem nga dunga shibu chong so ne sem ga la mi se gi dunga thoba di yung ko mare ta mumjo shin ani te mumjo wi ani chi liki ani na gi dunga te na sem bi top ki ni zir ki na ni dunga ser ni ban chong so sha
However, it continues, if a person has understood the essential points of religious practice, in this case, the Buddha Dharma, he or she voluntarily accepts, meaning is able to go through that experience, through that suffering, with a thought, for example, that it is the fruit, it is the result of bad deeds, of unvirtuous actions accumulated in the past, and seeing that suffering is the nature of cyclic existence, knowing, understanding that whilst we are within cyclic existence, we're going to suffer, wishes to take the responsibility for previous actions. As a result, mental suffering does not arise, and because of it, and because it does not arise, the power of internal thought is able to suppress the external pain and suffering of the physical sickness.
오테레샤 디주디 기당게 남준니 가르레 시디 루이단 셈니가 나니 누식 치아다 니바 치아데 셈디 임바데 ngato pentum mombudo ani semganal kange mebayina ani lula chi kange ru thena ya ani mide sem dinika dunga kange chege mebadang ani luwe chi kange de halya chimoji menaya sembingoni kange cheondi rāshika kāngi chenpochi chādhuka yodhi o tā chitāng sembi tōpchi pāzu kino nina ani luki dunga tā chitāngi chani katu ina yung chāgarēs.
So here is stating something that is very important to understand, which is that among body and mind, the mind, if we compare the power of body and mind, the mind is much more powerful than the body, meaning that if the mind is suffering, it doesn't matter that the body has no pain. We will suffer, and we will go through a lot of suffering. We cannot avoid that. However, if we are going through physical pain, but our mind is in a peaceful, calm state, that peaceful mental state can overpower the physical pain, and therefore we can keep calm, we can be at peace, and we can be happy even with physical sickness or pain.
다든지가 펜스 mambo yore 말도 삼로로 남지 규딩 소위 끼랍고 하나 인치 소위날 용대야가 안에 네트들 삼로다나 mambo 하고 그래 페나소도 아니 지금 참참로다 딘디 소선 도바 침보 요사지 여름 통보 딘디 강을 다니 강가 남시 장모요 같이 지문이 리보 지금 강바지는 차니 쉬위 연나양 아니 셈바데는 론도 슈침보지네 셈바 레틸 도바 침보 연나 셈바가 또 기파기디 강엘리 도데 아니 기분으로 전에 선나 기분에 맞지 않고 류보 장가 요래 아니 파창마 아니 라 톰볼은 드나 깜바나야 찍바 나게 요래 되나요 티카르제는 셈비기 또 기파 냄네 아니 셈비기 또 기티 아니 어디니 제투와 나신가 아니 리스닝 아니 셈바디 페케 침보지 임바레샤스
And I think if we look into our lives, we can find many examples that reflect this truth. Like, for example, if we are going on a hike to the top of a mountain, and let's say it's snowing and it's very cold, and it's a very long hike. So physically, you're going through difficulties, you're going through hardships because it's cold. Your hands are cold, your face are cold, your feet probably hurt after a while. Maybe even your back hurt because you're carrying a very heavy backpack. But you have such a strong wish to go to go in through that hike, to do that hike, that your mind is able to, let's say, carry all those hardships and difficulties and is not overcome by those physical hardships, which are clearly there because your hands are cold and your face are cold and your feet hurt. But your mind is calm, your mind is happy because it's excited about going on that hike. And this is a very easy example to understand.
this was that in the Mombo Chopin to your and Kale Kale, getting a true Twachitang Kutuni, Samlodana Tuhaku Ejirishas, T. Jimsen, you concert Chotana della T. Jimsen, a Lucium Nijananis, and a Semte, and a Lu won't give you suit of a town, Lu de Garchin to the Semti won't Gurja. Rokupa wang gyurchan of tabuchi neores and nepes, and if dediki toa simki, many to chewa in sonsha.
And this is why, and this is why His Holiness says here in the text, as a result, mental suffering does not arise, and because it does not arise, the power of internal thought is able to suppress the external pain and suffering of the physical sickness. The reason for this is that between body and mind, the mind controls the body, so to speak, and the body is as if under the control of the mind. Therefore, mental feelings of pleasure and pain are stronger than those of the body.
Oh, Tindresha, that Tashindo, somebody consultation, the Gashiki, and Shupu Deva, Shupu Dechit, Chim Done, and Chupu, Chupu, then North Chala, then Chupu Mombos and Dechit Done. And junior sober chechings, chechangs, Thomas listen, you can't chimbu, Baron, any rendoter, so many be Dungaringore, sorry.
Similarly, yes, sir. The text continues, similarly, some people who desire the happiness of riches, so who wish to be rich, basically, accumulate and guard their wealth, incurring great physical and mental fatigue. They suffer initially from the inability to amass as much wealth as they had hoped for.
Oh, that tambo didn't change any Dungayonga, Pardo, or Shengi, that you know, this is a tuba in a Tia Shango Trodo down. Young Paruchila Porla John was at any so that music troll the Kumashwa main or young lad were routine with that Jonathan. Young Chiki Tonda many young Pukish Tirisha Chula Sobatini Trolla than Chuzu that Trolla Draw Soki so many be dungar. Ani Tamar Chetter Chijang, a Shenji this again Rani, Tentre Chigubi dungar sauce, that no longer Latini dungar Tata, Chang the Chijanato Matopi Len Fosha. Chijanato the opposite Tona, Ani or to so good thing at the Marita, Chijanato Matoa in the Anita, Tinti Dinga Momboji, Panapchin Yungu Fosha.
So here His Holiness is saying that when a person who is rich, before that person becomes rich, there is at the beginning, there is already suffering, there is the suffering of the insatisfaction or frustration that comes from the inability to make as much money as you want. But even after you gain that money, it says, even after gaining some wealth, they suffer in the meantime from the inability to stop it from being stolen by others, being lost or being destroyed, being squandered and the like. Therefore, there is the suffering of making the money, and then there is the suffering of keeping the money, because you have to worry about how to keep that money from being stolen or getting lost. And in the end, they suffer because no matter what they do, their wealth becomes the property of others, and they themselves must part from it forever once they die. All such sufferings related to wealth and resources result from not having understood the essential topics of religious practice, because when they are understood, one sees that all wealth is as essenceless as the dew on the tip of a blade of grass, which evaporates quickly at dawn, and consequently, one does not undergo any of the sufferings that are associated with the wearing, accumulation, and guarding of wealth, and the suffering of being separated from it against one's wish.
Oh, the Chujananto Matopa in the Tinichigan Batini Yungudus, that is Tonas, Chujanento Yapo Tongejina, the Chu, Neto Yapo Tony, Junganeto Yapo Shingejina, Junur Tata, Tai thing you got in the Zelba, Tai thing is Zelba Hagu, the Anna Haguya, Tai Chuzan is Zelba, the Zelbatar, Nimbo Mebran Tones, any Tangalwa Jataki, any ya, Junoria Sobata. Yang ji di song chub jie ge song ma song zhe ne da song chub jie ba dang ani yang di jie xin bi ge le men dui xin de pe di da zhe ni zhe wa din bi dung er kan yang men zhong zhe da ge xin na din men dui xin de ni ma chi ga de mo ga de ji chu bu yin na yang ko ani yu long ju ga zhe mo bu yin na ni ma chi ani xin de di chang ma zhe ni wang jie gan ma ngan me ya ji ni yu ni de din di yong ya de ko ani ja ne to tong ge ji na di yong ge yo ba so ha gu yo da de la din mi si dung er
So here when it says that if one understands their spiritual path, in this case the Dharma, one understands that all of this wealth is as essenceless as the dew on the tip of a blade of grass, meaning that the dew on the tip, that tiny drop of water on the tip of a blade of grass, quickly evaporates, which means it's impermanent, which means it does not last very long at all. And therefore, if one understands that it's impermanent and will not last, one does not grasp to it, because one understands that when death comes, one will have to part ways with their wealth. So one does not suffer from the frustration of not getting enough, from guarding the money, or from having to separate from their wealth, whether it is stolen, whether it gets lost, or whether one dies and has to leave their wealth behind. Geshe lagonda tanda 주저 시바 심조도 안에 건조 배치 지와 직니 유나 마동아저 지사레베
Country sir nge che tagaran te lab goche di chero tila te pe ya goche tagaran nge kam chi te ta di
Alelas.
kamanga du
I just told Geshe that there's only like a couple minutes left of class, and perhaps you might have some questions. Geshe said, "Oh, I was just about to tell you this." So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, now it's a good time to do so. We just have time for like one question. Dilang agila yore be ngosu yore
la
ngosu gi chiwa chinye yore ale dila chagia tone chidu
no onda
la so Julieta, you want to
yes
ask a question?
I have a question. I saw a little, but my question was about when you speak about the disease, the money, and everything. How is it about when I'll talk about disease, okay? Since we can control the pain, I can control my pain. But then I start to ask, does that make me get worse? Like I'll put a like now, beginning of this month, I had COVID again, and I had to go to the hospital again. But I was able to control my mind. I could control a lot of. I have epilepsy, but I could realize I could have an attack. And then I started to think, okay, I can control, but does that mean that there is something that would go to a doctor? Should I ask a question, what is happening? Because I don't go to the doctors anymore. I do take the medicine, but sometimes I wonder, is it good to control so much? Or which is just like in Ayurveda, you look yourself and then that's okay? Or should we go and ask to a doctor? Or should we just dislocate ourselves for actually know what's happening?
Thank you, Julieta.
Jules is okay.
How do I pronounce your Jules? Thank you, Jules. Geshe-la morangi chewa din sari. Dana nga zo lugi naza podu zamba. Ane lugi naza podu zamba sem tembo yena. Ane lugi naza wancha. Nga zo sem la wancha chetugi mare semgi lugi naza wancha chetugira bas. Yina yang chetugi yena yang nga zo amchila dona yagare, amchila ma dona yang yagares.
Also, Tita Chitangi Chani Natsa Chunchu Mato Majoina, Nipar the Amchila Sandrone, men Sagua Peke Chembore. Yena yang Tandati Mul and Lucem Ning and Sem Pa Wangu to Layati. So Dunga the Lula Nadi Nekabla and Sem Dunga Toba Yoyade. And Samlo Tona and it is Dunga Yortan to Lagore Mato. Ani samlotani de na go na cha thag mare sonza inchi michi am chitam bache na yawre sam gadu singena.
Geshe-la says, in my opinion, in every case, whenever we have a physical sickness, it is better to consult a professional in that area that knows about physical illness. Because here, when it says that mind controls the physical realm or the body, what it means is that even if we have, sorry, the dog is barking. Even if we have physical pain, if we're able to maintain peace of mind, if we're able to maintain a calm mind, sorry, give me 1 second. Gonda, come and check. Sorry. Gonda. So Geshe-la was saying that what in this text is saying is that we have to maintain mental calmness and mental peace, even if we have physical pain, because if we don't, we will add mental pain to the physical pain. But that does not mean that we don't have to go to the doctors. In every case, I recommend going to a professional and taking advice from them whilst we keep mental peace and mental calm. Geshe-la.
Also, any Judaism, that did they judge and Montining also young Pandora Sunny Nani Church.
So we're gonna finish class here today because the time is off. Today, we're gonna close here, but tomorrow we have time. Tomorrow, if you have any more questions from today, we can answer them tomorrow. We will meet tomorrow at the same time and then again Friday. So thank you very much, everyone. Very nice to meet you all.
A question, how many a day?
Thank you, Geshe-la.
It's Jules, it's 3 days. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at the same time in your time zones.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye, everyone.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.